Hello and welcome to episode... Sorry, I forgot the episode number. I'll scroll down.
14.
Episode 14. Very good. So, as always, it's me, Darren Bolton, and I'm joined by the lovely Greg and Lee. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. I can see you're still in your pyjamas.
I work late.
And you're sporting a non-Nintendo mascot.
I also have turtles on my pajama bottoms. So
As in the Teenage Mutant Ninja variety?
yes, and it says Cowabunga Dude.
Amazing.
Clearly I'm cool.
You're Ware. Lee, how you doing?
I'm very well. I've just been chased by a dog, of all things. I always thought in the past I've had an affinity with dogs, and as I was coming home, it's raining. As I was coming home in the rain, it decided to have a go at me. So I had to stand my ground, turn around, and shout at the thing in Chinese.
And that worked?
He backed off, turned around again, he did it again, turned around, he backed off and ran away. It's like, yeah, I can scare dogs.
I admit it, was you a little bit terrified?
Strange. It's a dog that's roaming the kind of area normally anyway. It's the first time he's got a bit nasty. Wild dog.
It's all going. It's the beginning of the apocalypse in Taiwan. That's what that is. But anyway, let's get straight into the news. So there's not going to be as much news. Obviously, last week was like an hour and a half of news, but this week is a little bit lighter, which is good. We're going to start off with a game that's coming out in a couple of weeks. I'm a week Friday actually. I'm really excited about it. It is Super Mario Party. It's a game which it's a series that I think everybody kind of has a good feelings about in the past. There maybe hasn't been a good one for a long time. We're always hopeful. It looked good, and I think it's just looking better and better. But a little bit of bad news, although I actually don't think it's bad. I think it kind of makes a lot of sense when you think about what the game is. But the game won't support handheld mode at all. It'll support tabletop mode, so take the Joy-Cons off, play it on the table, but no handheld mode. Greg, you play a lot in handheld. Does this bother you in the slightest?
It's a strange one because whenever like Super Mario Party was announced and like we knew it only used one Joy-Con to play and all, like for some reason it never crossed my mind that I wouldn't be able to play it in handheld mode. So it will probably slightly impact my playtime a wee bit, but like it obviously makes sense, and like you kind of want to play it in like with people anyway, so you're going to be using the TV anyway, so it's not that much of an issue really.
But you're still excited about it because they've announced loads of new modes like partner play and things in the challenge road. And how are you feeling about it? I
really good. Like there was a wee sort of like a trailer sort of on the Switch itself, and I watched it and it showed me a few new things that I wasn't even aware of, like some sort of partner mode and like a challenge thing as well. So there's plenty to sink your teeth into. I'm actually really looking forward to it. It looks great, to be honest.
And all the reports have been, I don't know if you've seen, like all the kind of gaming press have been having hands-on and they've all got the game and playing it, and everyone seems to be saying, this is great, it's really good fun. And Lee, surely with your son, this is a game that you're excited about?
Yeah, I've got it downloaded already, you know, it's there waiting since, it's been waiting for about 2 weeks already. Yeah, can't wait to give it a go, and it's not surprising, it's only Joy-Con, and I can't see myself playing it in single player, so I wouldn't be playing it in handheld anyway. But even if I take it out over my mother-in-law's house, you know, I can just pop it on the stand and 4 of us can huddle around the little switch screen. Even that looks like it'll be good fun. Yeah, can't wait.
I can't wait. I ended up buying the retail version. I ordered it a couple of days ago.
Did you get those fancy Splatoon coloured Joy-Cons with it, Darren?
No, I never. I forgot all about that. Is that on the Nintendo store?
I believe it was, yes. Maybe it's disappeared from there, but they're definitely selling it in places like Base and other online retailers.
And is it a good deal, or is it basically the game plus 70 quid?
Oh, I can't remember the price of it. I have a feeling it could be about 80 quid, so it was a good deal.
Well, I might have a little look into it. I bought it with the mushroom lamp, the free mushroom lamp.
Yeah.
Because it'll be good for Hugo's bedroom. I'm just on the Nintendo Store website now. No, the Joy-Con version isn't there, so...
That's strange. I'm sure I saw it there a couple of weeks back. Maybe it is... maybe sold out, anyway.
I think it was actually probably closer to £90, but it is still a wee bit of a saving on buying them separately.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's 90 quid and a pair of Joy-Cons cost 70 quid, so 20 quid for the game, I'd do that. I paid 50 quid for it, so 40 quid for some Joy-Cons instead of a mushroom lamp. Yeah, go on then. But yeah, very, very good. On the new game front, and it kind of feeds into other news. Obviously, this week was finally the launch of the Sega Ages, which has been completely, I think, overshadowed by the fact that they announced the 50 games in one Genesis collection in a couple of months. But they've also announced, and actually, this got me I had a little glimmer of excitement, and some memories came flooding back. They announced Virtua Racing for the Sega Ages lineup. I was quite excited about this. I remember playing this, remember it being fun. I mean, obviously when you look at the screenshots now, you go, I remember being blown away by this. Do you guys have any kind of memories for Virtua Racing? Did you play this back in the day?
I didn't know, but even though you say, oh, this blew you away, it still looks good, I think. It's got its own style and everything, but it's still a good looking game, and it's going to be the arcade version, which will be far better, because it came across on the Sega Master System, didn't it? And it had some performance problems. So being
Mega Drive.
Mega Drive, yeah.
Master System, bloody hell.
8-bit classic. Yeah, so having the arcade version of this would be brilliant.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we'll chat about it later, I'm sure, but it's like the Capcom collection as well. Like the fact that the arcade versions is great. It's great that we're getting the arcade ones, and obviously the arcade classics. I mean, we'll move straight into that. Why not? More arcade classics have been announced. Greg's favourite icon. They've announced loads more games, including Donkey Kong Jr. and Ikari Warriors, which I'm particularly excited about. And these are great. I still wish we had folders so we could have like a little arcade icon and then have all these games in there. Wouldn't that be brilliant?
Yeah, a wee bit like the NES Online stuff.
Yeah,
that would be amazing if you could like reorder them and resize them within the folder as well. That would be perfect.
If Hamster did it themselves and did a sort of like NES service, they could even show you games that you haven't bought yet and shade them out or whatever, just to entice you to buy more. If it's just like their own little shop, but when you click on one that you haven't bought, it asks you to go to the eShop. They could really push their titles more by having just it as one icon and just showing you what they've got.
Yeah, I agree completely. I do wonder if the Switch allows for that functionality to have one app and then have like in-app purchases, so to speak, within that for the games. Or they could do a little streaming service on their own little app. You sign up £1 a month and you get access to all these arcade classics. That'd be great. But we will see. But again, it's always good. These game announcements keep on coming even in a slow news week. And there was some news which was bittersweet for me personally. Capcom have been bigging up their Capcom conference and saying, Ace Attorney fans, come and watch it. We were thinking, are they going to release they're going to do Final Fantasy and release every single Ace Attorney game on the Switch and announce the next one? And they just announced the trilogy, the first three again. I mean, I'm going to get it. I love the Ace Attorney games. I'm up for playing them again. But it's a little bit disappointing, I'm not going to lie. Greg, have you ever played a Phoenix Wright game? Did you ever get them on the DS and shout objection into the microphone?
A couple of times. I played through the whole of the first one, and I actually really enjoyed it. And then I remember getting Justice for All. I think it was for about $5 I bought it for, which I thought was a bargain at the time. And like I played through it. Maybe got the first mission done or whatever, and then I started to get a wee bit bored of it. I think it's just like, I don't know, I think like they entered just some new mechanics in the second one which I wasn't really enjoying as much as like the first one, and I think I was maybe making more mistakes than I was, like picking the wrong answer for things. Stuff that's probably my fault. But I just sort of end up, I think, getting a wee bit bored of it really, and I don't think I'll buy this either, because like I still have the first one on DS, so if I want I can just go and play it there and it's fine.
That's fair enough. Yeah, weirdly I have the Japanese versions of all these games on the DS because they've got that dual language option, and I can't even remember why, but I do. Lee, are you a Phoenix Wright fan?
I am a big Phoenix Wright fan, but I don't know if I can stomach going through the original trilogy once more. I mean, it is brilliant, 3 brilliant games, but I've been through them on the DS twice. And, on the 3DS, they came out on the 3DS again. I went through the whole trilogy again on the 3DS, so that's 3 times. Am I going to go through them a 4th time? No.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Have they announced
the
price?
I don't think so.
No, we don't know the price, but that's it. If it's one of these Capcom things where they go, hey, all 3 for, I'm hoping it's going to be under $15.99, but it's probably going to be that $15.99 price. If it was a tenner, yeah, I'd end up picking them up anyway.
Just to have on the system, yeah. I mean, we'll see.
It's one of those games like, I sort of regressed a wee bit on my desire to have absolutely everything on Switch. Because like obviously recently I played through Severed on 3DS, which I actually thought was probably slightly better fit for the game. And like I've been playing through Okamiden as well on the DS, and I have no desire to pick up Okami again, so I'm forgetting about that on the Switch. And then I've seen like what I've seen of The World Ends With You, Final Remix or whatever it's called. I don't think I want to play that on the Switch either. I think it probably fits better to the original DS, so I'll probably just stick with playing it there if I ever want to pick it up again.
That's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get it. Like, I think all based on price, but we'll see. It's still good to see, and hopefully it leads on to all the rest of the series. I'd be more interested in the later games, to be honest, which I'm less familiar with, and definitely a new one. That's ultimately what we all want. So new games. I think we mentioned this, but more details have come out. So Ubisoft have announced a sort of a triple pack coming out for the Switch of board games, which include Risk, Trivial Pursuit Live, and Monopoly. You can buy them all individually, but they're going to release them all as a pack, hopefully for a really good deal. These, obviously, Lee, you spoke glowingly about Monopoly a while ago, bundled in. I don't know what Trivial Pursuit Live is. I'm guessing it's like an online version of the game.
Gotta be in it, yeah.
But Risk, Greg, you were chatting about this game last week. Do you fancy playing? And obviously, their games have actually had online. So
yeah,
Risk,
Monopoly's
online,
had online. Uno.
We can play a 7-hour game of online.
Yes. Now, it would be good if that Risk was asymmetrical, so you could take your move and then push it across. Just like I've played it with my brother on the mobile. And you can take your move and then just like we play chess together, Darren.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do that. That would be a hell of a selling point.
If they do it on mobile, you'd think that they'd probably bring that functionality over. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But Greg, are you up for it? You up for digital Risk?
I did say last week that I prefer sort of playing these properly, like with proper boards and stuff. And I'm actually kind of thinking that whenever you're playing it with people, you maybe don't completely follow the rules exactly, and you sort of have your own like sets of rules. So I'm not sure if the rules in the game will be exactly the way I've played it in the past. And I'm also thinking, I haven't played Risk digitally before, but I know the more recent board games have like got rid of the mission cards and stuff, so I actually don't know what way the game plays anymore, and I don't know
that's true.
What the rules would be like in this version.
Lee, you said on Monopoly they've got low, because I asked this same question about Monopoly, because I think everyone plays Monopoly differently, and you said Monopoly has loads and loads of different rule sets.
Not loads, but it has a few. It's far more than 2, but it's not 10, but it seemed like there were different rule sets that you could set up, just like in Uno there were different rule sets that you can set up in Uno as well. So here's hoping that they do with Risk. What I'm worried about is the price, because Monopoly individually is still $29.99 on the eShop, and if they're gonna bundle all three together for probably $29.99, I wonder if they've got to be dropping the price of Monopoly itself, haven't they?
Yeah, or maybe, I mean, if these are board games for Christ's sake. It's like $19.99 for all three, or $9.99 each.
Yeah,
reasonable prices. Sort it out. So, but actually, I'm quite secretly looking forward to these, to see what these are like. I quite like I like board games, but like we were saying last week about the ones announced which were only local play, if these have got online, which is the only real reason to play them, because if you can play locally, you want to play their main board game. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm quite looking forward to it. In kind of slightly positive news, I guess, Dragon Quest XI, it was the first ever game announced for the Switch, and then it's coming. I won't say come and gone for the PlayStation 4, but it's come for the PlayStation 4. People are saying it's absolutely amazing by all accounts. And then we were wondering what's going on with the Switch version. They said it was still happening, but they've just announced that the Switch version is now called Dragon Quest XI S. I don't know. It kind of worries me. I don't know what this means. Is it simple? Is this a chibi-fied version? Oh, it's pretty chibi anyway. But
they went out of their way to expressly say that the S does not stand for small.
Did they really?
Yes, and that it was something like Switch or Special, because the Switch version, it's been taking longer for obvious reasons, that they can't get it to run smoothly, or couldn't get it to run smoothly. Obviously, it's not going to be coming until 2019, but they're going to be adding extra content to the Switch version. That's why it's going to be this special version.
Brilliant, that's good news.
So it should be bigger and better than the other ones.
Very good. I was thinking this was going to be bad news, but so good news. I have no interest in it. I will never play it, but it's great that it's finally coming, and with extra content, you can never grumble. Have you ever played Dragon Quest game, Greg? Did you play the one on the DS9? Was it?
No, I haven't played the one on the DS. The only one I have played is Dragon Quest Swords on the Wii, which is like I'm not sure if you ever played it. It's like a a simple one where you have to like use the Wii remote to
Hacky
like
slashy,
slash. Yeah, and it was actually okay. Like I didn't mind it. I haven't played it for years now. But like, I had a pretty good time with it. And then I recently picked up Dragon Quest 8 on the 3DS, which I haven't got round to yet. But I'm kind of excited to. So we'll see how that one goes.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's surprising. So if you love 8, are you interested in this then? Does this pique your interest a little bit more than the Final Fantasy games?
Yeah, probably. I haven't actually seen that much of 11, but it could be one of those instances where, like, if I play through 8 for a bit and I really like it, like, maybe I will have my fill of it and I'll be less interested in this one in a weird way.
I thought that was going to go the other way then, Greg.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So.
It never does.
We'll see. We'll see when it even arrives. Probably maybe next Christmas sometime. Who knows? So in slightly negative news, which kind of feeds into kind of maybe even new titles. We announced last week, I think. Yeah, not last week, that the sequel to the Batman Telltale game is coming out. It was great to see the Walking Dead trilogy coming out, and then obviously in the past week, the news is that Telltale are closing down. They announced that the Walking Dead final season wasn't going to get completed. Then they gave a glimmer of hope that it could maybe be completed. There's all sorts of goings on. There's a deal about the Stranger Things Telltale games, which is maybe, who knows, but ultimately they're going, and there's a little bit of uncertainty about what's happening with their games. This is obviously really sad news. I really like their games. They haven't changed, unlike like Lego have managed to survive, which weirdly I always get them mixed up, because they're Traveller's Tales, aren't they?
Yes.
And if they've survived making the same game for 20 years, unfortunately Telltale haven't. Yeah, it's really sad news, but maybe we'll get some good sales on all their games now, which I'd quite like. But have they said anything about Batman? Is that still coming out? I presume so.
It's coming soon enough, isn't it? So, but they haven't said anything.
Yeah,
apparently on Thursday, so tomorrow, they should be bringing out the second part of the final season of The Walking Dead. So that's on schedule as we speak. It's just the other stuff later, It probably hasn't been finalised yet. Second
episode, or maybe even the last episode. Who knows what's going to go on there. But Greg, I'm guessing you don't care. You ruthless guy.
It's really harsh to say you don't care. I've never really been interested in any of their games. Obviously, you can't be happy about people losing their jobs and stuff, but like this doesn't really affect me in any way.
Fair enough. What if Walking Dead Season 1 goes on sale for a tenner or something like that, or would you be tempted to pick one up?
Probably not, no.
Okay, fair enough. Also, let's move on. The very final bit of news that we're going to chat about, just dabble on it. It's to do with Switch Online. It's here. We gave our impressions last week. We've been playing it for a week. I've been having annoying problems with my save backups, but anyway, forget that. But they've just announced there's a bit of uncertainty about whether, originally it was, as soon as you stop subscribing, all your save data will disappear and they won't store it. And then it was like, well, people have problems with payments, cards expire, may not have money in the account, so that could be potentially dangerous. And then one region sort of said, no, there'll be some grace period. So there's, as usual with Nintendo, complete contradictions and uncertainty. But they've come out and clarified it, that the saves will be there for 6 months after your subscription ends. So that's perfect. It's exactly what Sony do. Done. They should have just said this to begin with, to shut everyone up, but maybe they... I don't know, maybe they just were surprised at everyone's reaction to it. Like, of course we're going to give people a little bit of grace. Why are people kicking up a fuss? Well, Nintendo, is because it's you, and no one will be surprised at anything you do. So we need these clarifications. So, but that's obviously really good news. But I just thought, very briefly, I don't know if any of you get any updated thoughts on the online service. Greg, have you played any more since last week?
Only briefly. Like, I played a few levels of Super Mario Brothers 3 with a fellow the other night, and like it was fine. I was surprised at how terrible I was at Super Mario Brothers 3. Like the physics are a wee bit different to me what I'm used to with like more recent Mario games and stuff, so it'd be a wee bit of a readjustment there. But like while I'm not really excited for most of the NES games, like I actually had a pretty good time playing it with someone else.
He's turning into a NES fan. It's happening. When Kung Fu's on there, that's it. It's going to finally...
That'll be the turning point.
Yeah. What about you, Liv? You played much more?
I haven't played the NES games much. I haven't played them at all online, to be honest. But I have played them a few times. Me and my son are loving the ice hockey, the baseball, all those kind of little competitive games. We've had the baseball games where you get a full 9 innings. They can't do it in tennis with a full 5-set match. You go back to the NES, they're doing it with baseball with a full 9-set in it. It's really
know. I mean,
you've regressed there, Nintendo.
I know it's ridiculous. It's almost too long though, isn't it? It's like I played it with David Scoter online, and I mean, I battered him 25-1 when I had, but it was like, oh god, is this still going on? It was tempted to save state it and go back to it at a later date.
I am very happy with the online app on the mobile. It works surprisingly well. You just stick on whatever game it is, like ARMS, and then bing, you get that little pop-up message coming on the app. You click on to open and you're ready to, and it's all done and ready to go. I can't see why people are so negative about it. The only thing I am negative about is that it doesn't make it any easier to set a match up. That's the only thing that's lacking.
They need instant messaging on that. It's ridiculous. It's on the Wii, and it's like you can't. It's ridiculous.
But once you've found a match and you can start chatting, it works perfectly. And like you, Darren, it is probably actually better than having to plug something into my Switch dock.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, obviously, people are just like, well, if you're using your phone, then why don't you just, I don't know, they just don't want to use a connected device. Why can't you do all this on the Switch? Why can't it be exactly the same process, but just built into the Switch? But, fine. I don't mind it. I think at least they've implemented it really well, and it's really slick and seamless and very easy to set up. So at least there's that. But that's fine. So that's it for the news this week, and now I want to know what you guys have been playing. So Lee, I think you're the only one who's actually been playing a game properly.
And actually finished one.
Why don't you start us off?
I did a review for Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse, on our website, nintendoreview.co.uk. And it's Broken Sword, so that's all I can say about it, done.
Cool,
Yay.
Great, what have you been playing?
That was good. So
Sorry,
if you played a Broken Sword game, it's a point-and-click adventure. It's extremely safe version of a Broken Sword game. It doesn't do anything new, but it doesn't do anything too bad. It just copies the formula and pushes it out once again in a different location, different puzzles. It's just Broken Sword, The last time I played a Broken Sword game before this was the one on the DS called Shadow of the Templars, the director's cut, which
that's the original, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the first one, and then obviously the remake of it, which was considered exemplary. That was like one of the quintessential Broken Sword games you played, and I can remember really enjoying that one. And I can't say so much to this one. Why does it have problems? Well, the story is rather plodding, If you know the two main characters, George is an American insurance salesman this time, and Nico Collard is a journalist in France, and you start off in Paris, you witness a murder in an art exhibition in Paris, and a painting is stolen, and then the story goes on from one European location, Paris, to another, London, back to Paris, then over to Catalonia, and then it culminates in this Middle Eastern excursion to... I'm not going to spoil it, just in case you do like these types of games. So the story is, based on kind of detective novels, and it's very, very simple. There's no revelations. You go from one place to another. Once you've finished in one place, you move on to the next place. And what kind of gives it that Broken Sword feeling are the puzzles. And in previous Broken Sword games, the puzzles can sometimes be overly rigid, reliant on doing things in the correct order. Even if you know how a puzzle should be concluded successfully, you still have to do it in a particular order to finish that puzzle. And that can lead to some rather head-scratching and frustration moments. And once again, this is exactly the same. You think, all right, I need to do this, I do this, and then you can't do the thing you need to do because you need to do something else before it. Really frustrating at times. Extremely linear because of it. So the story is extremely linear. The puzzles are extremely linear. Everything is extremely linear. So what did I like about it? Well, the 2D hand-drawn locations in docked and undocked are beautiful. They're vibrant, colourful. The kind of style of cartoon that they've gone for is excellent. The game runs very well, except when things are moving. So, you get little things in the background moving, and that's fine. But when characters start to move, it's as if the game, and there's no discernible loading, but it's as if the game is loading a character in, then it stutters, and then it finishes the animation. So there's a slight jerky movement at one point in their animation, and then it carries on. And then there's other problems, which I know affect other Broken Sword games as well, where you have to wait for a response for someone you talk to. So as George, you go up to someone, and I've got a snippet on Twitter if you want to check it out. Have a look at my Twitter account. I basically walk up to one character, and I go, he's speaking Spanish because he's in Catalonia, and George goes, Senor. And there's a 15-second wait while the guy is looking at the wall, then turns to look at you, and then says, yes. It's like, what? And this is throughout the entirety of the game. So you got these infuriating little waits while you're waiting for animations to load up and people to walk back and forth vast distances across the room. Then you got these waits while they actually get to the person or the object, and then waiting for the right time so that animation can be loaded up to interact with that and it's all these animations you got to wait for.
So it's a combination of basically the kind of the story just isn't strong enough and isn't kind of well told enough and structured enough, but also the kind of gameplay hasn't evolved. It hasn't evolved enough since 25 years ago or whatever when it came out.
It hasn't evolved at all. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that sounds problematic. Okay. Well, that's a big shame.
It is because the asking price is $24.99. If it was a little cheaper, I'd go because when I was playing it, I did enjoy some elements of it. I liked some elements when I've solved this puzzle by myself, no help, and you feel good. It's just all those little niggles that all add up to, and the more I think about it, when I did the review, I was a little bit more positive because I just finished it, and it's like, now I look back at it, I see some more problems as well. Like repeated dialogues and repeated animations. There's this terrible section where you have to beep a van horn and watch George get out of the van, walk to a particular spot on the scenery, wait for the animation of the man to get loaded in, wait for him to answer, then you've got to choose a particular item they want you to progress the story, choose the wrong item, and you've got to go through it all again. And I must have gone through that scene torturous. About 4 times. It was very torturous in points. And the puzzles, they're not, apart from about 2 or 3 at the end, which were extremely challenging, they seemed rather simple as well. The answer, because you're always using objects in your vicinity, the answer is always straightforward. You kind of like, I have jam, I have this, I can use the jam as a glue to stick this on this, and then I can fix this. They never really challenged me until the last about 2 or 3 puzzles. The last thing which you kind of unlock as you're going along which are quite nice actually, behind the scenes movies. So as you're going along, it's quite a big download actually. It's about 2.5 gigabytes to download the entire game. A lot of it is taken up by these movies of the developers talking about why they did this, why they did that. It's a hard recommendation, this one.
Well, I'm never going to get it based on your review, so thank you for that. But on the making of movies thing, a few games have done that, and I think they're great. What game was it that I played on the Wii U when it was about sort of not Eskimos, but and they had little documentaries?
Never Alone.
That's the
Yes.
one. Well done, Greg.
that was interesting. And have you ever played a game with a director's commentary?
No.
I've done 2. I think Thomas Was Alone and
on the Wii
Portal.
Portal. Okay.
On the PlayStation 3. And it's great. You sort of play through it again, and as you're playing through it, the kind of directors are talking about why they designed it and what they did around. And I think it's a great idea. It's a great way to replay a game if you wanted to. It made me play through like half of Thomas Was Alone again, just because I thought it was so entertaining for that. But so I like that. It sounds great doing behind the scenes, because we've had such access into, say, films and behind the scenes into films, and we haven't quite had that with games. So I think it's awesome that we're going to, thanks to YouTube as well and Twitter, we're getting insights into kind of developers and stuff, but also the games having these documentaries and commentaries and things, kind of really talking about what it's like behind there. I think it's awesome. But yeah, cheers for that, Lee.
No,
Greg, you don't have a game. You've just been playing lots of little games. You want to give lots of little updates. So tell us what you've been playing and your thoughts on them.
Well, We said that the last time we had this section that like I had just finished Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and I was sort of thinking of trading it in because I'd pretty much finished with it and didn't have any desire to go back and get all like the boxes and all the unlockables and stuff. I traded it that very day, so basically got my money back for it, which was fine. I'll maybe well pick it up again at some point in the future for like a $5 or whatever. But I've been a wee bit more ruthless as well since then. I tried to get back into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. My save file was about 5 hours in, and I pushed that up to 7 hours, and I was sort of thinking, I'm not really feeling this. I thought it's sort of been on the back of my mind for ages. Like, I've got all these other games I want to play, but there's this like big 60 or 70 hour plus RPG that's just sitting there, and I don't think I'm ever going to like love it. Like I'd maybe play through it and it would be fine, but I've sold it. I just thought, you know what, let's just get rid of it. I got back the money that I paid for it initially anyway, so that's a bonus as well. But I've also got rid of Ever Oasis on the 3DS as well, which like I picked it up for a tenner a few months ago, and it's just sort of been sitting there thinking maybe the desire will come to play it, and I just don't think it will. It's still sitting sealed, and I just got a notification on my phone last night that it's been sold on eBay, so it's gone as well. Sort of been tidying up a few things there. But what I have been playing is a few games that I've spoke about on previous weeks. I finished Captain Toad, still love that game, and the Mummy Me Maze Forever was pretty much as hard as I remembered it being, but like I finished it a lot quicker this time. It didn't take me a million goes to beat it this time. I think it was done within maybe about 10 goes at the most, which like was a bonus. And I know Lee,
I gave up.
You've touched it.
I tried twice. Yeah, I didn't try the third time. I tried twice. I got to about level 16 on that and collected about 2,000 coins. I'm at that point now. I can't be bothered. It's like, oh, no. I'm going to have to try this about 30 times before I know where it... And it's randomly generated as well, isn't it? Every time. I forget it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, when you're getting towards the end of it, you might get a lucky placement of one of the hammers, or there's a mushroom just exactly where you need it. So, like, I remember, like, I got to, like, I think it was maybe, like, stage 47 of the 50, and there was just a hammer right there, and I was just able to blitz straight through to the exit and then go again, and then, like, I knew by then, like, yes, I'm doing it this time. But apart from that, I've also finished the main component of Ware Gold. It didn't really take that long, but it's been one of those games that I've just sort of been dipping into every now and again over the past few weeks without ever really like properly getting into it. And I've unlocked the challenge mode, which I really need to look into, but I don't know, I think maybe just the timing of the game wasn't quite right for me, because I haven't really felt like I've had the right opportunity just to properly embrace it and enjoy it as much as like I think I should, because it is like a really fun game to play. And the other one is one that's not really that fun to play, and that's Okamiden. I'd spoke a few weeks ago about how it was like it seemed like a decent follow-up to Okami, and how there was like a lot of irritations that I had with Okami that I've sort of carried over to this one, and those irritations are just being amplified towards the end of it. I think I'm on the last stretch now, but like I've always had an issue with the combat on Okami. I never found it fun. And the last part of Okamiden, it's basically going between like lots of different platforms. I think it's like a dark realm or something it is. So you're basically going to between platforms, and you have to fight on that platform before you can move on to the next platform, do another fight, and then once you go through all that, you fight a boss that you've already beat earlier in the game. And I think you have to do that like 4 or 5 times before it's finished, and I'm scunnered. I will finish it because like I've come so far, it's like I might as well just get it, take it off the list and just forget about it. But it's really killed any desire to pick up Okami HD. I kind of just want it done now.
Brutal, absolutely brutal. So is that your collection of games that you've been dabbling through?
I think that's pretty much it. Like I dipped my toe back into Golf Story and just did a couple of wee challenges, and I also did a level of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze as well. But I played that in handheld mode, and like I just can't get on with it in handheld mode. I'd rather be playing it with actually like the waggle controls on the TV. Like like it was on the Wii, because I find it far more comfortable.
Does Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze have waggle controls on the TV on the Switch?
Oh, in handheld mode?
No, on TV.
Oh yeah, on TV. Yeah, you can do like just play exactly the same as you
really?
played Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii.
Okay.
Yep. I just find that far more comfortable. For some reason, I just can't get on with the traditional controls in it, because like we sort of grew up with like Donkey Kong and like even Super Mario and stuff in the SNES, where you're like holding the Y button to run all the time and like B to jump, and it's just like you've got a separate button to like grab and stuff, and it doesn't feel natural to me. So for some reason, having the waggle and stuff there, just like it feels right. I can't quite put my finger on it, but that's just how it is.
That's fair enough. Like you, I've just been playing loads of games. I've been trying, and I think it's mainly because no games grabbed me. So I'm playing loads of Into the Breach. That game is an absolute masterpiece. I'm gonna play so much of that over the next sort of year or so. I know it's gonna be a game I keep playing. So I'm playing loads of that, and I'm still playing loads of tennis, Mario Tennis. The online mission mode's good fun. I'm doing tournaments. Tell you what the thing is with the tournaments, normal rules, or what they call normal is special crazy tennis, but I call it normal as in no craziness, just normal traditional tennis. I don't know if you've played it online, but the standard is so staggeringly high. It is phenomenal. It's great because it's a big challenge, but oh boy.
Well, you've been so used to playing me online,
exactly, yeah,
easily. So.
So other people are good at it. I'm kidding, but people are so good at this game, and but it's not just that they're good at it; it's that they play it an insane amount. I've played it. I've got like a few hundred points, and people have got tens and tens and tens of thousands of points, which means they're playing hundreds and hundreds of tournaments a month. So it's crazy. I've been playing a lot of that. I still play a lot of that. But I've been trying to... I always like to have a couple of games on the go. And at the minute, I'm kind of working through Thimbleweed Park. It's not quite grabbing me to want to play it too much. I'm playing through Bayonetta on the Wii U. And that's not quite grabbing me. It's not making me want to play. Playing through Toad, but I'm playing through that with you guys. That's just whenever we can get some time together. But so I'm kind of struggling. But I have finished a couple of games. I'm not going to talk about them in too much detail. But I went through Mega Man. I just had a real desire to start playing through the Mega Man games. I went through them all a couple of years ago, but I played through Mega Man 1 again. I think I chatted about it last week, actually. Scrap that one. But in the last week, me and Lee, we finally got together online, and we played through Final Fight on the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, and it was great. It's amazing that you can create these lobbies, and people can watch you play if they can't join the game, and it was great just to play through. There's a little bit of lag at the beginning, and I don't know whether I got used to it, because stuff like that don't bother me too much, or it did actually improve. But it was just good fun. We played it through all the way to the end.
Did improve in the middle, and then when a spectator, we had two spectators joining, but when the first spectator joined, they had to kind of load in, didn't they? And a huge amount of lag happened again.
Yeah, as they were kind of coming in. Yeah, but it was just great fun, and I can't wait to kind of go through the rest. It's the package is as good as I kind of wanted it to be honest. It's just great to play through these kind of button mashers. Love it. So that was good. But the game, I'm very close to finishing. I've put in over 50 hours into this game. I've put in over 50 hours in all these games, and it is Picross. So I finally got to the end of Picross S2. I finished Picross S1 earlier, and I've played all the Picrosses. I love this. This is my mindless game. I watch it when I want to put the football on. I'm watching it if my partner's watching some rubbish on telly like the Bake Off or whatever, and Picross is the game I just kind of put on and do a few puzzles on, and I'm, like I say, 50 plus hours in, and I've probably got... they're saying that I had a puzzle yesterday, but I think it's because I was distracted. Puzzles generally take about 10 to 15 minutes now, because I'm at the kind of hard stage. I had a puzzle last night. It took me an hour. Just staring at numbers and just trying to find... I don't know if you know how it works, but trying to find a breakthrough. Like, where's the one dot? What's the one square I can fill in, which could then help? And an hour on one puzzle. I was like, oh. And then I did a few more after that, but I think I was distracted because we got told our we were meant to be moving house on Friday. Well, I'm not moving. I'm staying here for a month, but we're supposed to be getting the keys to the new house, and we've been told it's been delayed 2 weeks. And I was thinking about that. That's my excuse anyway for struggling. So that's kind of it, really. Just been kind of doing that. But Picross, nearly done. Amazing game if you like puzzle games. It's great for travelling, great for just watching something in the background, listening to podcasts. It's a great background game for that. But
I love Picross, and I'm actually scared of buying it on the Switch because I'll drop everything else. I got too much to play, And Picross is for another time. Well, when I've got time, I'll pick it up.
They do get addictive, and they are 50 plus hours. I'll probably put maybe 60 hours by the time I finish, but still want Sudoku. That's still a game I really want. So that's what we've been playing this week. And next, we've got a listener question. So this comes from Nintendo from our Discord server, and I was going to bring this up earlier, and he's going to bring it up in the news, but he asked, and I think he asked this before the news broke, but he asked, when is the SNES coming to the online service, or just the Switch in general? When is the N64 coming? And when they do, are we going to see price increase or tiers to the system? But then since then, there's been the data mine, the amazing data mine of references to specifically the Virtual Console, so the name maybe isn't dead, but then also Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, SNES, N64. Very exciting. So, Greg, what do you think about this news? Is it tied into the online? How's it going to work? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking about all this news?
I'm actually guessing that you probably haven't seen any updates to that news, because as far as I'm aware, it's a whole lot of nothing.
Oh, is it a hoax? I didn't know that either.
It's not so much a hoax. I think it's just that I didn't read into it properly, but I think it's just like, I'm not even sure if it was on like the Japanese eShop or something, or if it was related to like the Japanese website or something. I think
the eShop,
those things are just I think those things are just there anyway, and they've maybe been there from like the very start anyway or something. I just don't think it is anything to be getting excited about, unfortunately. But having said that, surely we are going to get some sort of like SNES and N64 games.
So when do you think the SNES games are coming, Greg?
Well, for a start, I don't think it's going to come like as a service, sort of like the NES Online stuff. I think it's more likely that we will just get games on the system. Like maybe they may be enhanced versions, they may have like online and stuff, but they'll be like able to be purchased separately, and those will probably just roll out over the next few years. But I think the wee sort of like mystery, like special offers that you're going to get with the having Nintendo Switch Online, I think that's probably just going to be like discounts on these games, or the fact that you can play them online if you have this service.
Yeah. I was thinking differently. I was thinking they're going to do exactly the same as they've done for the NES with the one app solution, and do the same for the SNES games, and a good time for it will be next year, you know, this time next year, ready for the Thanksgiving thing. I can't, and then Nintendo said, do you see a price increase? Apart from some minor little increase due to inflation, you know, maybe £1 extra, I can't see them doing tiers or anything like that. Nintendo seem to be a company that want to be as inclusive as possible, and the introduction of this online service has already divided users, so I can't see that they'd want to divide the user base any further.
With the price there, that's a really difficult one, because like I can't imagine them offering Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 games and whatever else would be after that for the price that they're charging at the minute. But if they increase the price again so soon, or add tiers like so soon after people are going, oh, I have to pay for online now, I just can't see how they're going to work that.
So what do you think they're going to do about N64 then, Lee? If you think they're going to add SNES to it, what are they going to do about N64 and Game Boy Advance? And
I reckon the N64 will be another year later. It's good. But when you were talking about it and going Game Boy games, I thought, yes, actually, you know, nice big square. Of course, it's going to have lots of black borders. The Game Boy games will look great on my Switch screen. I can see each one having its own app. Can't see the Virtual Console coming back at all. How about you, Darren?
I'm sort of semi agree with you. I think SNES is coming next year as part of this service. I think this service is ridiculously cheap. I know people moan about it. People love moaning. But to pay £15.99 a year to play online and have cloud saves, but then have all these NES games with online functionality, I think people are mental if they think that this isn't an absolute bargain. I'd pay a few... I did pay a few quid each for these NES games on the Wii U and on the Wii, and didn't have online functionality. So the idea of you know, them having, even if there was like £3 to play even ice hockey and baseball, I'd probably buy the lot at £3 each, but we can play online. I think it's a bargain. Like Greg, it's so cheap. I don't understand how they can do. I don't understand how they can fully justify all these NES games at this price. But fine,
they were giving them away on GameCube, Animal Crossing.
I know, but they weren't giving them away on the Wii U and 3DS. But fine, I'm delighted. I'm delighted at it, but I think it's a bargain, and I think it's an amazing service for that alone. SNES, I think they will add SNES. I think they announced that they would before. I think they will. I think it's coming. Like you, I think it will be. I want a separate SNES app. I don't want one massive app with everything in.
Because they gotta sell us the SNES controllers as well, you know.
Exactly.
They gotta sell those for $70. What is it? $70 or whatever. I don't know.
And I'll gladly buy them.
Have you got the NES ones yet?
I can believe you're asking. Of course. Well, I haven't got them, obviously. I don't have them here now, but I've ordered them, yeah. But for me, to SNES at a push, I can see being part of the service. It's a very generous offer. Great, amazing. And I think it is coming. The other stuff is what scares me a little bit. A bit of me thinks, I don't know, I don't want to pay individually. I've always wanted a Netflix-style service. I don't want to pay individually for all these games. I just want access to them all, even if I play Urban Champion once or whatever. I do want that service. I think that makes the most sense now. It's kind of what people are used to. It's the way the kind of entertainment world is going, and I think they should embrace it. They have embraced it, but how do they do it? Is it's another question. A bit of me feels if tiers is the only way they can do it. So maybe there's like NES, SNES, and Game Boy Color as part of this basic tier, which seems far too generous to me. And then you've got another tier, which is then N64 and Game Boy Advance, and then another tier, which is maybe GameCube and DS, or I don't know, but
even Wii
feels
games.
that's the only way they can do it. Only way they can do it. And Wii games, and maybe I feel as if maybe they'll just release them individually. Maybe those will be, because they probably can't do loads of them because of the nature of the Wii itself. I don't know. I think it's but I want it to come. I don't want to wait in all this time. I want to play Game Boy games and N64 games and Game Boy Advance games. I want it all. I don't mean this is an entitled gamer. I just mean this is an excited gamer who loves those games and wants them on the system. So I want to know what the plan is. I'm happy to pay it. We said this months ago on this podcast. I'd pay. We're paying £1.50 or whatever a month for all these NES games. I'd pay £10 a month for everything easily. I'd pay $9.99 a month and have access to every single game in the back catalogue from GameCube backwards. Easily. More. I'd pay more than that, but I think $9.99 is a reasonable fee, but I don't know. And also I think this does appeal to gamers. Have a really cheap thing for general people who don't have the nostalgia and, young people who don't have loads of money or whatever. $15.99, maybe $19.99 in a year's time if they want to increase it. You get the NES games, great, you got online. But if you want to subscribe to a premium service, it's $9.99 a month. You get online and you get access to everything. That, for me, feels like a decent way of doing it. But I'm getting you two clearly don't agree with me. But so you think they're going to send them piecemeal again, Greg? So you're like, they'll charge £8 for N64 games, or
Maybe. I'm not sure, because I kind of want you to be right and that they will roll out those sorts of things, but I'm not sure. It depends how they sort of see the Switch. If they we're playing the Switch now and that'll go on for however many years, I'm wondering if in a few years' time they're gonna reiterate on the Switch. They'll have a new Switch or a Switch Pro or whatever, and they'll keep that going for even longer, or will they just be Nintendo and the next console will be completely different again? I kind of hope they go along with the Switch, but if they release everything now, it's I'm not sure how that works for them, because I think they'd rather go in a few years' time, here's a Switch Pro, now you can play SNES games and N64 games.
Yeah, so if they shoot the load too soon, it's so if they do everything now, then we've got nowhere to go in 5 years'
sort of
time.
Need to keep drip feeding you, just giving you a wee taste, just enough to keep you going, and then here's a wee bit more. But you always have that wee bit. I need something else. They always seem to do it.
So slow though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's annoying. Even I guess if they could release even if it's one a year, but it's just that how slow is that? So this year NES, next year Game Boy, the year after that SNES, year after that Game Boy Color, year after that Game Boy. It's 10 years later. There we go. I don't know what they're going to do, but I want to know. So then, because in a weird way, I'm kind of I'm really into retro games now. I want to play all the old games now. I'm in that mood, and I want to know how to play him. I want to play him on my Switch. And if you're not going to give me N64 games for 5 years, tell me. So then I'll get the N64 out or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's I know they won't, but at least just communicate with us and tell us what their plans are. They told us a year ago that SNES games are going to be part of the service, and then they just removed it and never mentioned it again. It's tell us what your plan is. They don't want to kind of spoil surprises and stuff. I get that, but it's frustrating. But I think the thing is, it's if they release games, well, there's sort of two solutions. One, they can release the consoles now, but maybe they stagger the games over 5+ years. So even if we've got an N64 game a month or something like that, it's that'll take years to kind of get there. A Game Boy game, so it's almost one game
from each console a month.
From each console a month, yeah. So maybe one a week. So a couple a week. You get a couple a week, but kind of
spread
out.
So
we're experiencing the consoles, yeah. But the games are getting spread out. The other option is, and I don't like this option. I can see them doing it. The other option is they rotate the games. So they only have, say, 30 games on each console, and they rotate them, and games disappear. So like now, we're playing Mario Brothers 3. In a couple of months, it disappears, and maybe in a couple of years, it comes back onto the service or something. So the games rotate, and then on each app, we've only got like 30 NES games, 30 or even less, 20, whatever that is. They could do that to keep it fresh and to keep that kind of, I want Excitebike 64 back. But then how devastating would it be if we had an Excitebike 64 online and we're playing it, and they're like, we're taking Excitebike 64 away. It's like,
you got a Super Mario Kart tournament and they chop it halfway through your year.
Yeah, so no, they can't do that. Just give us everything, Nintendo. Everything. And I say spread out the games over the years. That's what I want. But I think the only logical way of doing it is to add tiers to the online. Add like loads of tiers. A bit of me is almost like, right, you pay $15.99 a month and you get NES games, and you can add £1 per console. You can pick which consoles you want.
Yeah. So where do you think the tiers will start? Do you think if they come out with an SNES app, you think the tiers will start immediately?
No, I think a bit of me feel it's a tricky one. On a business level, I think there should be a few tiers because, GameCube games, N64 games, Game Boy games, there's such vast difference in kind of quality and price kind of value that they need multiple tiers, but I just think it's too complicated. So a bit of me feels like I think it's going to be NES and SNES games at this base rate.
I think they need to release them all in one go so you can see what you're buying with your tiers. So they'll all have to come out. The SNES, the N64, the GameCube, they all have to be there and go, right, now you can pay extra if you want.
No, but I don't think they'll pay extra for SNES. I think they'll release SNES next year, hopefully early next year. And then, so there'll be that's in the included rate, and then maybe later on, what I think maybe they could do is then release everything on a premium subscription rate. So it's only 2 tiers: base rate, and you get NES and SNES games, or a premium one, and you get everything, all the consoles, Game Boy Advance, N64.
We're all buying premium, boys.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. It's fascinating, and I'm desperate to know what they're going to do. So we all think very different things. So let's see what happens. This time next year, still playing NES games. No word and anything else probably.
But you'll be able to play Double Dragon 2-player. That's good.
We will in next month. Is it next month? We presume that's what's going to happen. So we'll see. We presume that's what the special edition is going to do. Yeah, we'll find out. But let's get on to the final section of the podcast, and it is Topic of the Week. So Nintendo, who gave us that great listener question, and we could chat about that for even longer, to be honest, we had to cut short. But he also asked another question. He said, we all know that the name Dazzy B comes from Top Gear Rally. I think I mentioned that last week or a few weeks ago. He said, but what about Nekunando and Londragon, which is you guys' names on our server channel? Where does your topic come from? And then this kind of fed into a bit more of like a get to know us. So we're going to answer some questions about us to kind of get our histories across. But first, Greg /Nekunando, where does your username come from?
Who are you?
Mine's sort of been pieced together over the years from like nonsense pretty much. It was like back in 2000, it would have been 2005 I think. I was signing up for a forum and like needed a username, and like I'm a Liverpool fan, as you know, Darren. And like we had just recently signed like Fernando Morientes from Real Madrid, and I wasn't used to Liverpool signing like this sort of quality of player. Like he never turned out that great for Liverpool, to be honest, but like I kind of always liked him as a player, and I was just like so excited that he had joined us and stuff. So like I was just signing up for forum, and I used Nando as just the username.
I just thought you liked chicken.
I actually haven't had a Nando's in years. Like I would love one like right now, can I? So there's that, and then got to the stage where like I bought an Xbox 360 in like late 2009 and was needing a username for it, and obviously like Nando's one of those names, like of course that's taken. So me and my friends have been playing Killer Instinct Gold on the N64 recently. It's sort of been introducing me to it. And you'll all know like in Street Fighter there's like a Hadouken, in Killer Instinct you've got your character Jago, and he does a thing called an Endo-cooking, which is basically the same thing. So I sort of mixed Nando and Endo-cooking. It's like Nando cooking. So that was my name for a while. And then when the Wii U came around and we had to sign up for like the Nintendo ID, I put Nando cooking in, thinking nobody's going to have this here, and nobody did have it, but it wouldn't let me use it. It was filtered out for some reason. It was as if there was like swearing or something in it. There was some part of the word that they didn't like, so I put it in. I was like, okay, I can't use this here. So I was sitting there thinking, what on earth can I change this to? And like I'd recently finished The World Ends With You on DS, so I ended up just putting Neku in front of the Nando. It's a Neku Nando, and that's how it came about. It's like just pieced together nonsense, but there we go.
Fair enough.
Isn't the Japanese for cat Neku? That's where I thought you were going to say you always play Monster Hunter and all the Neku, but anyway, they felines in Monster Hunter. Okay.
No, I'm not a cat person. I actually don't like cats, and now you've ruined my name.
So what about you, Lon Dragon?
I'm Welsh.
But
yeah, I'm Welsh. There's a dragon. I've even got tattoos of dragons on me. That's how Welsh I am. And then met my wife in 1999. We used to go bowling together in a bowling league once a week on a Thursday morning when I skived off university. And she's Chinese, well, Taiwanese. And one of their honourable logos is a dragon as well. Oh, it's not a Welsh dragon, Chinese dragon. The Chinese for dragon is Lon. So we called our bowling team Lon Dragon, which kind of tied into my kind of arcade love of Double Dragon. So it all tied together nice and neatly. So I've always used it ever since, and joined the forums, and whenever I go to a new console or a new forum, I type in Lon Dragon, nobody's got it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think that's better than mine and Greg's. That's good. So part of that is, he's kind of interested bizarrely to kind of know about us a little bit more and stuff like that. So we're taking that a bit further and answering some kind of more questions. So we're gonna maybe quick fire these. We'll just see how we get on with answering these. We'll just kind of rotate each question. So the first one is the most played Switch game. So Greg, what is your most played Switch game?
By an absolute mile, it's Rocket League at around 200 hours.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow.
The one below that, I think, is probably maybe Breath of the Wild at about nearly 70, I think.
Okay, that's interesting. And do you regret any of those hours in Rocket League?
Not on the slightest.
No, it's a great game. Probably
not on the slightest, and there's probably many more to come.
I was going to say, I agree completely. It's a good job. A good friend of yours convinced you to buy it.
Yeah, and like the amount of time I put into it and how much enjoyment I've got out of it, like, I can't believe that I almost didn't buy it. It's one of those things. It's definitely the surprise package on the Switch for me so
it's
far.
One of those games that I wish I played more as well.
What about you, Lee? What's your number one game?
With over 300 hours, I've put into Breath of the Wild.
How?
Plus, I haven't even used the expansion pass. But I haven't bought it. I haven't bought the expansion pass, not just used it.
Oh boy.
I just used to go pottering around, killing stuff.
You just loved it that much. You just enjoyed it. 300 hours. Impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive. What a game. My number one is the same as Greg's. It's Rocket League, which I was quite surprised at. It was always neck and neck with Splatoon for a while, but I haven't played Splatoon as much as I used to. I think I will. I think by the end, maybe Splatoon will win, although I actually think Splatoon 3 is coming in the next 18 months, so maybe not. But Rocket League's number one, and followed by very close. I think my Rocket League's about 170, but my Splatoon's about 150 odd, and FIFA is well over 100 as well. They're my top three, so FIFA's not too far behind. I think FIFA 19 could challenge those games more. I think I'll play that even more because we can finally play online. But yeah, so a couple of Rocket Leagues and a Zelda. Very good. So Greg, with that, maybe the same answer. Mm-hmm. What's your favourite Switch game?
It's hard to say. Whenever you put that amount of time into a game, you sort of think, I absolutely love this, and I do. But I think my favourite Switch game is probably Super Mario Odyssey, because like Mario games are always my favourites, and while I don't think this is like the best Mario game ever, like it's still amazing, and like I actually miss this year not having a game like that to look forward to coming up to Christmas. So yeah, Super Mario Odyssey, brilliant game.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What about you, Lee? What's your favourite?
It's Breath of the Wild. Same answer. It's just too damn good. Honourable mentions though of Splatoon 2, which I put about 100 hours into, and Doom. absolutely love Doom. Great stuff. But Breath of the Wild by no small margin.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, mine is a small margin, and it is tricky. It's those two games which is so difficult to sort of split. It's like Zelda is the most memorable. It's the most impressive. It's the most like genuine, awe-inspiring game I've ever played.
However,
but I love Mario, and I've always loved Mario, and I love playing Mario, and I love everything about it. That gives me more joy. It gives me more fun. Mario is more my kind of game, but but it's hard not to say Zelda because it was so mind-blowing. It was so staggeringly good. It was like Mario is just, it's an amazing Mario, and it's an amazing evolution to Mario, but Zelda was on another planet. So I kind of got to say Zelda, but I feel like in the future, once we've had another Breath of the Wild, once we've had the next Breath of the Wild, I think I'll look back on Odyssey better. But because Zelda stands on its own ahead of everything in the industry, I feel as if Zelda at the minute is does that make sense?
Yeah,
it kind of impresses me more. But when we've got like something that uses the same engine or another Zelda as good, I think I'll be like, no, Odyssey is still sort of staggeringly good. But it's because Odyssey's an evolution of, say, Galaxy, which is also another masterpiece. It feels similar enough for it to not be as kind of wowing in a way. So I'm going to say Zelda. So I can never give a simple answer, can I? With Zelda.
But it's the right answer. Good job.
Yeah. This is originally I struggled, and then I was like, oh no, this is really easy, because I was like, I don't regret anything. So the next question was most regretted gaming purchase, and I was like, and I was thinking Assassin's Creed 3, and I was like, no, it was good because it changed the way I play. And then some games I played for 5 minutes and then never played again, but I was like, I don't regret any. But then I was like, oh no, it doesn't have to be a game. So then I was like, my biggest regret is either the Vita or the PlayStation 4. I'd probably say the Vita. Probably, but PlayStation 4 is not too far behind, and there's no knock on those consoles as quality consoles with quality games. It was purely a result of my kind of game, what I was enjoying about games, what I wanted to do with games. I just didn't want to play them. I just wanted to play Nintendo games. I wanted to play retro games, so I didn't have the time and inclination to play them. So it's not their fault, but I definitely regretted both of those. Bought them both at launch, and I was like, no, I'm not into these. So they're my regretted game purchases. Greg, what have you regretted the most?
I actually have a couple of answers to this one, because I picked a Switch specific answer, which would be purchasing Shovel Knight for $17.99. I actually regret buying that one at the moment.
Crazy.
Oh, that's my most regretted purchase on the Switch. But of all time, I think it is. It was sort of getting towards late 2006, and the Wii was just around the corner, and for some reason I just wasn't feeling excitement for it. And I actually find that a lot with Nintendo consoles, in the lead up to it, I'm not feeling that excited generally, and then whenever they come out, it's like, oh, they're like the best thing ever, pure love what they're doing with them and stuff. But back at that time I thought, right, I might not get the Wii for a while, and I ended up buying an Xbox, one of the original ones, pre-owned, because it was kind of out of curiosity. I'd never played an Xbox before, and I got it, and I despised the controller, despised the size of the thing. I wasn't really getting into any of the games, but it was one of those things game used to have this policy where you could return things within 10 days and basically get a refund for it or an exchange or whatever. So I had the Xbox for about a week and then took it all back in, and I must have had about 10 games or something with it as well. Took it all back in and picked up a DS Lite, and that was a much better purchase. And that kind of actually got me really excited for the Wii, and then I ended up pre-ordering the Wii as well. So it was a really bad buy, but in the end, it kind of worked out.
Couldn't you have just said that and not even mentioned Shovel Knight? You've soured the podcast.
No,
I had to.
Disgraceful. So Lee, what is your most regretted gaming purchase?
I've got a Switch one as well, and this will make you go as well. And it's not because of the quality of the Switch game. It's fantastic to play. It's just I don't play it. And I wish I'd probably bought it retail now rather than buying it on digital, so it's not stuck on my machine. It's ARMS. I love playing it, but I just don't play it. Fortunately, recently, my son and his cousin come over quite often, and they do get some use out of the game, but I don't.
But do you regret it that much? As in your biggest regretted gaming purchase of your life?
No, that's for the Switch. That's just for the Switch. I think my most gaming... I went for a game rather than a console or anything, and I'm going all the way back to when I was a child on the SNES, the SNES, and if you can imagine going down to Boots and spending... The price in Boots were full price games, 50 quid back then for a brand new game on the SNES, and I purchased, quite wrongly, Joe and Mac Caveman Ninjas because of the box art. Took it home, finished it with my brothers because it was 2-player co-op, finished it with my brother in about an hour. That was the entirety of the game, and then had a couple of sleepless nights cursing myself, and I did manage to take it back, make up some story about how I had 2 of them bought for me for my birthday. Classic. And yeah, and I changed it for Chaos Engine by the Bitmap Brothers, which was good.
Great game.
Yeah.
Great game. Okay, awesome. So Lee, I'm going to stick with you, and maybe it is the same answer. Maybe it's Joe and Mac. What is the first ever game you ever owned?
Owned. Not one I bought, but one I owned. Now, my dad was a computer teacher, and he used to have an Amstrad kind of CPC, but a more evolved one. We used to play golf on it, but that would be taken away. So I thought, no, I'll change my answer. It's probably a Commodore 64 game from what I can remember. And the first game I loaded up on the Commodore 64, because it's just cool and hip, was Rambo First Blood Part 2. And that, from my memory, that would be the first game I actually held in my hand with the tape, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome. What about you, Greg? Can you remember the first game you owned?
From what I remember, I think I was probably about 6, because I think it was Christmas '93. Pretty sure it was then. My brother had asked for like a Super Nintendo for Christmas, so like we got this big box. It was like the Super Nintendo action pack, so it came with like the scope and stuff. So it had my first game was it came with Super Scope 6, but we also got Super Soccer with it as well, so it's just those sort of together.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, Super Soccer. I know your love for that.
And I still love it.
Okay, we're going to play it online very soon.
I hope so.
My first, it's a tricky one, because my first game that is in my memory, and it's like the memory of it as a kid, is a game called Chucky Egg on the Spectrum. Yeah. But that's sort of like a family. It wasn't mine. It was like the families. The Spectrum was the families, and we all played the Spectrum, and Chucky Egg was the, that Attic Attack and a few others and stuff. But Chucky Egg was the game that in my memory is the first one I was playing, but it wasn't mine. And then I was thinking, so maybe the NES. We had like a family NES, which came with Mario and Turtles. I was like, is it those? But that wasn't mine. So I was like, it's sort of them. But the first game that was mine and only mine was because the first console I had, which was purely only mine, was the Game Boy, and I had it with Tetris and Mario Land. So I would sort of say those two. I had some Game & Watches, but I'm not including those. Tetris and Mario Land, I would say the first games that I owned. No one else. And what games they were.
Slight sidetrack. You just said Family NES there. Did you ever watch Family NES?
Yeah,
on TV when you were younger?
Yeah, the Loch Ness, yeah. I reckon I could sing the theme tune, but I'm not going to embarrass myself.
Go on, Darren.
No, I'm not going to. With ongoing from that. So, can you remember the first game you? God, these are hard questions to remember when some of us are pushing and some gone past 40 years old. So, but the first game you ever bought, Greg, can you remember that game?
I think, well, we'd got a few. It would have been a Super Nintendo game. Like we had a few games, about 4 or 5, but those are ones that my dad had bought for us, like really generous at the time, just sort of thinking back on it. But I remember me and my brother wanting to buy Super Mario World, and like every week we went into Index, which was, it's basically like an Argos equivalent back then. I don't think it's there anymore, but we went in there every week to see if they had Super Mario World in stock, and they didn't. But we kept going in, and then one week finally they did have it, and me and my brother had sort of like pulled our money together and bought it. So that would be the first one.
Awesome. Lee, can you remember yours? All those many years ago.
Yeah. Two stories from back in the depths of time. I went over a friend's once with the Commodore 64 days, and we used to play. I can't remember the name of the soccer game. There was a soccer game on there. We used to play that often. He was was a big soccer fan. He used to love Everton when they were so. Neville what's his name? I nearly called him Neville Chamberlain.
Still pretty so.
Neville Southall, the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Neville Southall, the keeper, Welsh keeper. So he's a big fan of those. And then he got his hands on Feud, which was a Commodore 64 game where you had one enemy wizard that you had to take down, and the way you took him down was by walking around in a kind of Zelda overworld and collecting herbs, taking them back to your hut, putting the herbs and making potions and spells in a cauldron, and then you could make spells for shooting fireballs, and then your only purpose for the game is to kill that other magician before he came to your house and killed you. Never finished it. It was just far too difficult at points, but it was fun while it lasted. I can remember giving my dad the money to go and buy it because he was going off to work, and then he'd buy it on his way back home and then bring it home. And I said, right, Dad, Feud. Showed him the picture as well. Commodore 64. Off you go. He came back with the Amstrad copy. I was devastated as a kid. He was like, ah! And I only had to wait one more day and he swapped it. So that was with my money. But the first game I actually went out on a bus to town and bought myself. Went into the store all by myself and bought it physically and then back home by myself. Was a Commodore Amiga game, Kickoff 2.
Oh yeah, what a game.
Yeah, great stuff that was as well.
What a game. My first game was probably I probably bought NES and SNES games with technically my money, like pocket money. It's hard to remember them. I generally just got them for Christmas and birthdays, so I'm not going to include that. But I remember the first console I bought with my own money. I had a summer job in college. The N64 was the first console I bought, and the first game I bought, and I bought it before I got the console because I could afford the game. I couldn't afford the console. I bought ISS 64, and I bought it, and I had the game before I had the N64, and I remember looking at the instruction manual and waiting, I'm going to get the N64 soon. So the first game I really bought with my money that I earned was ISS 64.
And you still didn't get the intro music on the N64 level.
I'm terrible with music, so it's definitely that. So the big question. I want to know, Greg, your top 3 games of all time. And because I'm presuming all our games are going to be filled with Mario, Zelda, maybe even Metroid, it's too predictable. So I also want your next 3 or your 3 underappreciated or a 3 worthy mentions that aren't Mario, Zelda, or Metroid. So first, your 3 games of all time, and then what are those second 3?
Now, to be honest, this was extremely difficult. Probably about 10 years ago, I could probably ring off a top 10 games, no problem. Now we've played so many amazing games, it's so hard just to narrow it down, and your memories are kind of get twisted and morphed as you grow older.
Yeah.
And obviously my top 3 games quite easily be 3 Mario games, so we've sort of we've restricted ourselves to maybe only 1 per franchise.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
So I do remember when I played Super Mario Galaxy, the feeling that I had when I came off, I thought this is quite possibly the best game I've ever played. And then when I played Super Mario Galaxy 2, I had that feeling again.
Yeah,
same. I've loved Mario games since, but I just that feeling I had whenever I came off Super Mario Galaxy 2 and beat the final star and stuff, I just thought this probably is the best game I've ever played. Now, granted, I haven't really been back to it, so my feelings may not be quite the same, but I think I'm going to have to go with Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
My second one is, I'm surprised to know, is a Zelda game as well. And this one actually changed a few times in the space of a year or two, because it gets a bad press, but Skyward Swords, at the time when I finished it, I could not put that game down. I loved it, and that whenever I came off, I think Ocarina of Time might be usurped here. I think this might be my favourite Zelda game ever.
Wow.
And then shortly after that, I played Ocarina of Time 3D. And as I played through that, I thought, right, my memories of Skyward Sword are fading a wee bit here. This might be my favourite Zelda game ever. And then fast forward a wee bit to the Wii U, and Wind Waker XD comes out. Played through that, and I finished it, and I was like, this might be my favourite Zelda game ever. There's all such great games, but because Wind Waker's probably the most, well, apart from Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker's the most recent one I've played, really, I would have to say, I think it's maybe my favourite Zelda at the moment. Breath of the Wild will never be there, but
it's very interesting.
Wind Waker
very
XD
interesting
for me.
And your final game?
The final one is one I changed this entry last night.
Don't say Crash Trilogy.
The last moment. It's because of one of the answers to my other to the other questions, which is a wee bit of a sneaky one. Like, but I've went for maybe a wee bit of a surprise to you guys. Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo.
That is a surprise.
That is a surprise.
Yeah.
Especially because it's not even as good as Tropical Freeze.
Like, lots of people would say it's maybe even like the weakest of the original trilogy. They say like 2. A lot of people say 2's the best. I actually think 2 might be the weakest one of the 3. But this one is just one. I remember borrowing it from my brother actually borrowed it from a fella at school, and like playing it back at the time, it was mind blowing, like the graphics and stuff and the music, and I just absolutely loved it. And like, it's just one of those games I love just going back to play through it every so often. It's just a great game. Absolutely adore it.
Cool. So quick fire then, just because obviously we're running out of time. Quick fire, your 3 underappreciated ones, or your next 3.
Okay, well, I'll not go into any details then. Ghost Trick on the DS. Which you love.
Controversial. What kind of list is this? I'm kidding. Go on.
Underappreciated. Killer 7 on the GameCube.
Oh, sorry. So what was that? I missed that. I was too busy laughing.
Killer 7 on the GameCube, and Silent Hill: Shattered Memories on the Wii.
Oh my lord. Okay.
Underappreciated.
Silent Hill on the Wii was amazing. I'm not arguing against any of those games. They're all great games. I was just, in my mind, I was expecting certain other types of games, but no, that's good. That's awesome. Good collection. Lee, your best 3 games ever.
I haven't chosen games that these are the best 3 games I think they are. I've kind of chosen games that resonated with me and changed me as a gamer in a particular space of time, or
so was that the most influential games on you?
Yeah, and games that drew me back into gaming. So I've gone for those kind of games, and I'm going to fire through them quickly as well. Number 1, I put The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Mm-hmm. That basically on the SNES. That basically cemented my gaming career. It was that game that I know what I love now. Number 2, 007 on the N64, just for the community we had. People used to come over our house and we used to play 4-player constantly, and that, when I had a slight dip as well on the N64, that brought me back. And I really struggled for the last one, but I think through another dip and a game that drew me back in again was Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube, and that's it.
No Mario game in your top 3 games of all time. Bold. I like it.
Different.
I like it. And what about your underappreciated or your second tier, your next 3 games, whatever way you went it? So what about those? What are they?
Another game for sharing with friends and all. It was a Commodore Amiga game, Sensible Soccer. What a great laugh that was, and they need to bring something. But I love to play a soccer game like that again. You know,
on the Switch,
updated to modern sensibilities, but yeah, something like Sensible Soccer would be brilliant again. Geometry Wars on the DS. The amount of
the Wii one.
Love I have for that one. Yeah, I didn't play the Wii one.
Oh, okay.
Finished it on the DS as well. I put so much time into it. And the last one's another DS game. I just think it's underappreciated for what it is. And you've talked about it earlier, Darren. It's Picross DS.
Yeah, classic.
What I liked about it, better than other Picross games as well, it focused a lot on Nintendo franchises. So you got Mario levels. As you did the picture, you'd be uncovering a Mario level, and it'd be Zelda ones, and there'd be the entirety of Nintendo franchises would be incorporated into the Picross game.
Good choices. Mine, it's very interesting to listen to you, Greg, because before the Switch, my best game was of all time was Mario Galaxy 2, and my second best game was Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. And it's difficult not to say them, but I'm not going to say them, because I genuinely believe I'm going to look back in 5 years' time, and so I'm going to be bold enough to say I think Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are two of the best games of all time. They're probably the 2 best games I've ever played. I genuinely believe that. But it's so soon, it's difficult to truly say, isn't it? But I'm going to go Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, which is kind of crazy to think. And my third one is so predictable. I'm going to say Metroid Prime on the GameCube.
Yeah,
my favourite game.
That nearly made my list.
Yeah, it's now these games. Metroid Prime probably is this, but they're not the games that I have them, because some of it is so much about the memory of it and when you played it. Because if it was about that, I'd admit GoldenEye probably would be up there, even though I think it's a dog of a game now. But Super Mario Brothers is probably, I still think it's an absolute masterpiece. In my top 10 of best games of all time, I don't care what you think, Greg. But I could easily put that as my favourite game of all time, easily, because it's held up so well. It was so influential as a kid. It's a masterpiece in game design and what it's done for the industry. But ultimately, as games today, I think Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Metroid Prime are the best games. And I did my next three, and I'm going to say Pikmin 3. I'd never talk about Pikmin 3, but Pikmin 3 I would say is definitely in my top 10 of games of all time. Thanks to that. Chucky Egg on the Spectrum, I'm going to have to say it was like an absolute pivotal game in my life as a kid. Chucky Egg, still play it to this day, brilliant game still. And I put Resident Evil 4 as well. I put that in my under 3. Cool. So next questions, again, quick fire. So favourite game never released on a Nintendo platform, I'm going to go with this. I struggled a lot have been released, but I'm going to say Uncharted 2 on the PlayStation 3 as my favourite game not on a Nintendo platform. Greg, what's your favourite game not on a Nintendo platform?
I cheated a wee bit on this one actually, because this may well have been in my top 3 games of all time, but I changed it out for Donkey Kong Country. In a way, it is kind of on a Nintendo platform as well, but I went with Metal Gear Solid, the first one. Obviously, we got the Twin Snakes. We obviously got the Twin Snakes, the GameCube, but like the amount of crying people do about it's a much inferior game to the PS1 version, blah blah blah. I don't really see that. I think they're both great games, but because people think it's different enough, I'm going Metal Gear Solid.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. What about you, Lee?
Too difficult to answer this question was because of my.
Because you haven't played it.
I just don't have any other Nintendo, non-Nintendo consoles. PS1, I played a few games, skipped the PS2 and 3 completely. So I'm thinking of more recent games that I would want, rather, So not a favourite game, but a game I would really want. And apart from F1, I think it'd probably be the Star Wars Battlefront game. And I've actually played it on the PS4 as well. So a bit of both.
Okay, awesome. That's good. Now the very final question, as we wrap this up, is a double answered one. So Lee, we'll start with you. What is your favourite Nintendo console ever, and what is your favourite non-Nintendo console ever? I'm guessing. So go for it. What's your favourite Nintendo console ever?
It's the Switch.
Wow.
And it's just because it's done everything I wanted it to, and it's doing more, and it's going back into, it's got the NES library now, it's going to be building on that. Hopefully we'll have the SNES as well. It'll have it all, and it's got all these arcade versions of the Capcom beat 'em ups. It's throwing all the Final Fantasies in. It's phenomenal, and it's only 19 months old now. It's looking to be if before the Switch I would have probably gone for, and your favourite console as well, Darren, the N64.
I thought you were actually going to say my favourite one, but
no, just a joke answer. But for now, definitely the Switch. Favourite non-Nintendo console? I can't answer that.
That's fair enough.
I don't play them.
That's fair enough. What about you, Greg? I'm guessing the NES and favourite non-Nintendo console, the Atari Jaguar.
Xbox.
I actually had difficulty answering both of these here because, for me, the Switch is like a sort of like a proper virtual console service away from potentially being the best ever. And I feel like I should kind of say the Wii because it gives you access. You've got all the Wii games, some great games on there. But you can play GameCube games, and obviously you have your virtual console there as well. So
cheating a little bit, isn't
everything in one package, and so I feel like I kind of should say that one, but Nintendo 64 is the one that's in my heart and probably always will be.
It's a tricky.
Yeah, Nintendo 64.
I don't think it's fair to sort of pick the Wii because you can play retro games on it. Do you know what I mean? Or
but it's a
bonus,
think
it's a great benefit. But I think it should. I think it should be almost what does the Wii offer? The Wii was amazing. I think it's got loads of great games, but I think we can't be I love the Wii because I can play SNES games. Okay, so the N64.
Nintendo 64.
Your favourite non-Nintendo?
And again, this one was tough because I have great memories of playing the PS1 at friends' house and stuff, and I have my own games that I love on the PS1. Obviously, Metal Gear Solid's one of them as well. I think maybe the Dreamcast might be my favourite non-Nintendo console.
Interesting. That's good. My favourite Nintendo console is again sort of Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey. It wouldn't surprise me looking back in 5-10 years time and looking at the Switch as being the best console I've ever done. But it's too soon. It could get this virtual console. It could get all these the games. My favourite Nintendo console has to be the SNES. I think by far it's the best console I've ever done. And I loved the N64. I bought the N64. I loved it and played it, and I loved everything on it. I'm not anti N64. I just think it's aged really badly. I think the PlayStation 1's... I think that generation has aged worse than any other generation. But that's all I complain about.
Holds up.
Okay.
Holds up.
Aren't you watching Greg's Vaults?
We'll see when they release janky GoldenEye online next year. No, I mean, I slag it off more for comedic effect, but I do think it has aged pretty badly as well. But I have so many incredible memories of the N64. My favourite non-Nintendo console, I'm guessing Spectrum doesn't count because it's a computer. That doesn't count, does it? But if not, Spectrum's the best non-Nintendo gaming device I've ever owned. But if not, then I'd probably say the PlayStation 3, which I think was a really, really impressive. When you think of like the Batman games and the Dead Space, Uncharted, I think so much stuff on that on PlayStation 3. So I'd probably say that. That is it. That's it's good. It's revealing to hear your answers for me. Shovel Knight. I'm still going to have sleepless nights about that one, but it was good. So thank you very much, guys, as always, and thank you for listening, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nintendo Review Podcast. You can find this very podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, and YouTube. Just search for the Nintendo Review Podcast. Don't forget to give us a review and ask us a question. We are also on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, where you'll find great content such as news, reviews, and streams. Of course, you'll find us at nintendoreview.co.uk. And check out our Nintendo Review Discord channel for lively discussion, meetups, and in-game voice chat. Drop by and say hello.